Hi everyone and welcome to Dean Park and the Hornby Intercity 225. For those of you who've been watching my channel for a while, you may know that I enjoy running my Class 91 locomotives, which make up part of the Intercity 225 train sets. And back in January, Hornby announced 3 more of these locomotives. One in this attractive Intercity swallow livery, which was the original colour scheme that the locomotive wore back in 1989. There's also the GNER one, which came along in around 1996. And then latterly, the LNER Red, which is one of the ones that I've added to the collection this year as well. When Hornby announced the newly toured Class 91s around about 3 or 4 years ago, I got 3 from the original set, and I've since added more to my collection. If you want to see more on the Class 91, I did a review on that when it came out, and the link to that will be at the end of this video. From the first batch of Class 91s, I added this Intercity Swallow one, which is 91002, and that is called Durham Cathedral. And this one has been since sound fitted with a 21-pin ESU Legomanbiffo sound file and twin speakers. Shortly after fitting my sound to my Class 91, along came Hornby with HM DCC, which is a sound fitted system which includes decoders, free downloadable sound files, and all of this can be controlled via an app on your phone or indeed through a traditional train controller set on your layout. What I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to fit an HM7000 decoder to the brand new Class 91 that I've just got. I'll download the Class 91 sound file and I'll show you all of this step by step, even down to fitting the speakers in this loco. I'll then compare the sound files in this HM7000 to the full fat version that I got from Legomanbiffo some time ago. If you're new to the channel, please consider hitting those like and subscribe icons, and also hit that notification bell to be alerted of all future uploads from the channel. If you want to get in touch, please do so by posting in the comments section below. In the meantime, let's get stuck in and fit a new HM7000 sound decoder to this brand new Class 91. Removal of the Class 91 body should be a straightforward process. It's only held in place by 4 very small screws. However, what you've got to do is you've got to feed the screwdriver through the bogie into the hole for the screw, and that's could be challenging in itself because it's a very small hole, and also when you unscrew the small screw, it does tend to get stuck within there. I noticed on this particular model there was quite a bit of grease around where the screw hole was, so the screw got stuck in place even after it had been loosened. So be careful when you're taking the screws out of the Class 91, put it over a bit of foam and give it a light shake, and hopefully the screws will fall out. After the 4 screws are removed, it should be a simple case of just pulling the body off like so. However, what you're faced with here is a rather tight set of wires to the cab lighting. So I would recommend putting this body on another bit of foam behind the actual chassis when you're fitting your decoder and your speaker. With the body off, you get a pretty good look at the compact and well designed nature of the Hornby Class 91 chassis. We've got some decent space here above the gearbox towers and the bogies for a speaker, and you've got these wells at each end, but you can't put the speakers there because of the cab interior detail at both ends. Apart from that, it's a pretty well designed compact layout with the PCB board in the middle there, and everything's held in place with these push sockets, so wiring is easy to detach. The HM7000 21-pin decoder from Hornby isn't the smallest 21-pin on the market. It's quite long, however it fits in Hornby locomotives, so that's not a problem, but I'd like to see a more compact design there. To remove the blanking chip, I'd avoid using any sharp implements and screwdrivers in case you damage any of the wiring. Just wiggle it free like that, and I always keep the blanking chip in the box, the packaging, in case I wish to change it over to DC operation at a later date. The 21 pin then lines up with the hole at the end, or the blank, and just push it into position. Like so. What I just noticed, actually, there's quite a bit of wire that goes underneath the decoder, and that was actually pushing the decoder up a little bit. So just be mindful of that when fitting DCC decoders to your locos, that there's no wiring or any obstructions that unseat the decoder from the pins. Now, for such a powerful loco as the Class 91, this little piddly wee speaker here maybe isn't going to give enough, volume from the loco. Obviously, we've got a set of different sized speaker enclosures that we can use, and I'm now going to play around to see which ones I can fit in whilst still be able to put the body back on. In the pack comes a variety of speaker enclosures. I think in the Class 08 I used the smallest one, or the shallowest one, because of the compact size. I think I got away with a decent sized one in the Mark IV DVT, which gives a good representation of the brakes and the horn and all the other auxiliary sounds that the Mark IV DVT offers. However, I don't know which one's going to fit in this Class 91, so I'm going to take some off the sprue here and see where I can mount it. Looking at the different size of enclosure, the largest one is a non-starter. It's far too tall, it doesn't fit comfortably in the body of the Class 91, so I couldn't get the body back on with this enclosure used. In fact, I don't actually know any Hornby loco where I'd actually be able to fit this largest enclosure. If you've used it in any of your locos for fitting the HM7000, go and let me know what loco you've used this particular enclosure in. The second one I tried was this quite deep one, kind of stepped effect. I tried to put it in above the gearbox there, but I couldn't get the body on, just a little bit too high. I even tried to put it on its side, but it's just a little bit too wide there. I suppose I could shave a little bit off the corner here, but you risk going through the plastic casing and leaving a hole. So I turned to this one, and this seems to fit the bill. It sits nicely on top of the gear house mounting there, on top of the wire, and it can be held in place with a little bit of black tack, and the body fits back on. Before fitting the speaker to the enclosure, you have to put the base onto this enclosure like so. Just clips in. I would hold that in place now with a little bit, oh, it's the wrong way around, what an idiot. There we go. There we go, like that. It would be better held in place with some super glue just to seal the actual join. You don't want any sound escaping, because that does affect the quality that you get from the speaker. Right, I've just popped the body back on the Class 91 just now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that to the DC rolling road that I've got, and I'm going to show you how to read the decoder through the HM7000 app, and also install a sound profile to match, obviously, the Class 91, because as standard the HM7000 decoders come with a steam generated sound file. Right, first thing I've got to do is I've got to go into the HM7000 app, making sure that my Bluetooth is on. And I've put the loco on the DC test track, and I've put the power right up. So I have to go back to settings. I go to ready to link, and it should pick it up readily, and there it is there. And it's HM7000 478A. And you wait till it's finished the scan, and then what you do is click on that, and it's now linking the device in the loco to the actual HM7000 app. And this could take a little bit of time to do. This screen will now come up and it asks to update, so you just go to the start update at the bottom, and it'll update both of the parts that it's asking. And again, this may take a little while. Okay, that's the updates now done, so you just click done on that, and then you have to take the loco off the track for 5 seconds. You would go yes to that, put the loco back on the track, and there we've got the decoder unique code there. and it's set to number 3. And then if I click on new loco, I'm going to call it, I don't know, let's just delete what's there already. It's 91, check the number here, 031. And then that's me done that. And at the moment it's on the Bluetooth setting, so it'll work via the app. If I want to control it on DCC, sorry, I'll just click on the DCC tab. Right, what I've got to do now is I've got to go to Browse Profiles. And in here it'll give you all the files, the sound files that Hornby offer, from TXS, decoders, both electric, steam, diesel. So I'm looking for the Class 91. And then I've got to install locomotive profile. Now this could take up to 15-20 minutes. Once it's actually got the red files into the phone, it's then got to fully install onto the decoder, and that could take, as I said, 15 to 20 minutes. So I'll let that do its thing and I'll come back to you once it's done. Click yes. I've now installed, so I dismiss that. I take the loco off the track again for 5 seconds. Pop it back on. Like so. Sound pack installed. Dismiss. And there I go. Now I can at this stage add in a profile photo or image. Okay, if I go back to the joystick, go to the loco, there it is there. There is obviously my lights, my sound, the horns, brake, squeal, etc. And I've got my driving speeds there, my directions and whatever. Right, we're on the track now. I'm going to fire up the sound. Now, bearing in mind I've not got the speaker on the enclosure, so some of the sounds are going to be pretty ropey. And I put the lights on, and the red lights at the blunt end there, I don't know if you can see them on the camera, but they've just come on, and the white lights at the sloped number 1 end. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the body off, and I'm going to pop the speaker onto the enclosure, fit the enclosure and pop the body back on with its screws, and then we'll do a comparison. The HM7000 Class 91 sound file with its single speaker versus the full fat Legomanbiffo sound file that I've got fitted in my other Class 91 in Swallow livery. And then we can have a little comparison to see how they fare against each other. Right, I've popped the enclosure on there. I've got a bit of black tack at each side, in fact. Right, I'm just going to pop the enclosure in there with a little bit of black tack. Just holding it in underneath and at the side there. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to test that the body actually goes on. It does, so what I'm going to do now, use the self-adhesive border around the speaker and stick that onto the gap here in the enclosure. Now you get one shot at this because it's very sticky, so make sure you line it up before you press down. So that'll go there like so. There we go, firmly secured in place. I've just stuck the wire there to a bit of the black tack, fed some of the excess underneath the decoder, and I'm going to pop the body on and put the screws back in and get it on the track and get it running. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch it from Bluetooth mode across to DCC mode, and to do that you just go into the app and you basically change the settings, and that will allow you to control the loco through your handset or your layout controller. Let's start it up, go through some of the basic sounds, and then we'll get it running around the layout before comparing it to the Legomanbiffo sound fitted Class 91. that's all I've got for this episode. I hope you enjoyed watching the Hornby Class 91 come alive as I fitted the HM7000 Decoder and dedicated Class 91 sound file. I really was impressed by the sounds coming from the loco, especially from that single speaker. It really does make a big difference as to the size of enclosure that you fit to that speaker. So try and fit the biggest enclosure you can when you're fitting sound into a loco. Okay, the sounds coming from it weren't as refined as, say, the Legomanbiffo, but around half the price, it's an affordable alternative and it puts a smile on your face. And after all, isn't that what Model Railways is all about? In the meantime, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.